Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Before we look into the practice questions, we have an announcement. BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS is happy to announce the launch of a new series on our YouTube channel called The Big News. In these videos, which will be uploaded every single day, crisp analysis of big breaking development will be discussed strictly from the Civil Services examination point of view. Do like, subscribe and share the videos with your fellow aspirants. Let's get started and look into the first question. Consider the following statements with respect to Qutb Shahi dynasty. Badi Boli was built by Jamshed Quli Qutb Shah of the Qutb Shahi dynasty. The dynasty came to an end when the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb arrested and jailed Sultan Abu Hasan Qutb Shah for the rest of his life. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the Qutb Shahi dynasty. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, Badi Boli was built by Jamshed Quli Qutb Shah of the Qutb Shahi dynasty. This is a wrong statement. Why? That is because it was built by Sultan Qutb ul Mulk, who happened to be the first ruler of Qutb Shahi dynasty inside the tomb complex near the Golconda fort. So the first statement is wrong. When we look into the second statement, the dynasty came to an end where Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb arrested and jailed Sultan Abu Hasan Qutb Shah for the rest of his life. This statement is right. Since the first statement is wrong, the second statement is right. The answer to this would be 2 only. Now let's look into what this article speaks about. It speaks about Bada Boli. What does this mean? This means a large step well. This is meant to collect the water for the purpose of irrigation and gardening that particular premise, and this was built under the Qutb Shahi dynasty. The Qutb Shahi dynasty or the Golconda Sultanate was known as the ruling family of the Sultanate of Golconda. Situated in South India, the Qutb Shahi dynasty was ruled by the Shia Muslims who belonged to the Turkmen tribe from the Turkmenistan Armenia region. This dynasty was founded by Sultan Quli Qutb ul Mulk in 1518. The dynasty ruled for 171 years until the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's army conquered Golconda in 1687. In relevance to this particular topic, we have the disintegration of the Bahmani Sultanate. After the disintegration of the Bahmani Sultanate, one of the dynasties which took birth was the Golconda or the Qutb Shahi dynasty. There are 4 other dynasties as well which took birth after the disintegration of the Bahmani Sultanate. Which are these 4 other dynasties? Please put them on the comment section. The article further makes a reference to the number of step wells. 1. It speaks about Qutb Shahi Bada Boli. Then what we have is the Bapu Ghat, and finally Bansilal Pet step well. All of these are present in the state of Telangana. So remember, these are present in the state of Telangana and can be prospectively asked in your preliminary examination. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to golden langur, which of the following statements are correct? It is endemic to Western Ghats. Its IUCN status is critically endangered. Golden langur, easily recognized by the color of their fur, changes according to the seasons. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the golden langur. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, it is endemic to Western Ghats. This is a wrong statement. Why? When we speak about golden langur, where are they found? They are found in Assam. They are also found in Bhutan as well. So in India, it is endemic to Assam, and when it comes to the global population, it is present in India, that is in Assam as well as in Bhutan. They are distributed in the forested habitats of Sirang, Sarpang, Zemgang and Tongsa districts of Bhutan. In India, fragmented and isolated population of the species are distributed in Chirang, Kokrajhar, Dhubri as well as Bongaigaon districts of Assam. So remember, it is found in Assam as well as in Bhutan. So the first statement is wrong. When we look into the second statement, its IUCN status is critically endangered. This statement is once again wrong. Why? Because the IUCN status of golden langur happens to be endangered. And when it comes to the third statement, golden langur, easily recognized by the color of their fur, changes according to the seasons. This statement is right. Golden langurs are recognized by the color of their fur, and these change according to the seasons. In the winter, it is dark golden, and in summer, it is more cream colored as well. And the color of the young also differs from the adults, and golden langurs in the south tend to be more uniform in color. They are smaller than those in the northern part of their habitat. What are the major threats as discussed under this article? There is massive deforestation, which is leading to rapid loss of their habitat. The conservative initiatives which are supposed to be taken are also decreasing as well. And finally, there is human footprints in these habitats leading to human langur conflict, and ultimately it has resulted in threats to these golden langurs as well. So what is the way forward? We have to ensure the implementation of the habitat improvement activities when it comes to the golden langur. Now let's look into the next practice question. The first concrete step towards the modern education in India was laid by Charter Act of 1813, Uch Dispatch, Macaulay's Minute on Education, Hunter Education Commission. The answer to this is Charter Act of 1813. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the Macaulay system. Let us try and understand what is this all about. When we speak about the colonial practice of education, the first time where education was given importance was the Charter Act of 1813, which was the first concrete step towards the modern education in the country. This act set aside an annual sum of 1 lakh to be used in educating the subjects. But there was a dilemma and confusion. What was the dilemma? We had the Indian education system or the Eastern education system. You also had the Western education system or the English form of education. So there was a dilemma whether this funding should be done on the basis for the Indian education system or for the Western education system, whether Sanskrit and local languages will have to be given importance or English should be given importance. So there was a confusion and dilemma as to what should be promoted when it comes to the education sector in the country. In order to settle this dilemma and confusion that was existing, what we have is the Macaulay who comes into picture, and ultimately he favors the English education. So in the Minute on Education, he justified the use of English as the medium of instruction and also the teaching of Western education to the Indians. He also believed that the Western science was far superior to the Indian knowledge. In fact, there was another theory called as the downward filtration policy, or the theory which basically dealt with the education. So remember, there can be another question asked in the preliminary examination. What does downward filtration theory speak about? It speaks about education. It is not to do with railways. It is not to do with poverty alleviation. It is not to do with commerce. So downward filtration policy or theory is basically to do with education, which can be prospectively asked in your preliminary examination as well. So when we speak about the Charter of 1813, it was the first concrete step towards the modern education in the country, but the foundation was laid by Macaulay. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following are correctly matched? Name of the pass and the region it is present in. Zojila, Great Himalayas, Bunny Hill, Pirpanchal, Fotula, Zaska, Kardungla, Ladakh range. Which of them are correctly matched? The answer to this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the Zojila pass. So when we speak about the different kinds of passes, the most important passes which are also present in the NCERTs include Zojila. Where is it? It is present in the Greater Himalayas. Then we have Bunny Hill, which is present in Pir Panjal. Then we have Fotula, which is present in the Zaskar range, and finally Kardungla, which is present in the Ladakh range. Remember, these are very important from the preliminary examination point of view. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to street lighting, how do sodium lamps differ from the LED lamps? Sodium lamps produce light in 360 degrees, but it is not so in the case of LED lamps. As street lights, sodium lamps have longer lifespan than LED lamps. The spectrum of visible light from sodium lamps is almost monochromatic, while LED lamps offer significant color advantages in street lighting. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The answer to this is 1 and 3 only. When we look into the first statement, sodium lamps produce light in 360 degrees. Yes, this is the right statement. When it comes to LED lamps, they have 160-degree bulb angle, and the first statement is right. When we look into the second statement, as street lights, sodium lamps have longer lifespan than the LED lamps. This is the wrong statement. If we are speaking about the general context, the number of hours where the LED lamps glow is comparatively more in comparison to the sodium lamps. When we speak about the third statement, the spectrum of visible light from sodium lamps is almost monochromatic. This is the right statement. While LED lamps offer significant color advantages in street lighting, this is once again a right statement. Since first and the third statement is right, the second statement is wrong. The answer to this would be 1 and 3 only. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2021. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is World Happiness Report. This is taken from the Indian Express newspaper. The World Happiness Report is published by the United Nations Sustainable Developmental Solutions Network. The United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network was set up in 2012 under the UN Secretary General. When you speak about this particular solutions network, what does it do? It closely interacts with the United Nations agencies, multiple financial agencies. It also speaks to the private sector. It engages with the civil society, basically to ensure that all the sustainable developmental goals and Paris Climate Agreement, multiple other developmental projects, scientific and technological expertise are promoted by this particular network. So it engages with multiple parties to ensure that the sustainable developmental goals and the Paris Climate Agreement falls into picture. This is about United Nations Sustainable Developmental Solutions Network. Now let us understand some of the key parameters with respect to the World Happiness Report. It was first time published back in the year 2012. It is based on two important parameters. One is the measurement of happiness or life evaluation. How? Through the opinion surveys. The other is identify key elements that determine the well-being and life evaluation across multiple countries. So there are about 150 countries where ranking is given according to the World Happiness Report, and basically it takes into picture the real GDP per capita, social support, life expectancy, freedom to make your own choices, generosity, and the perception of corruption when it comes to that particular country. Taking into picture all these important parameters, it ultimately gives ranking to multiple countries. So if we look into the global ranking as of now, we have Finland at the top, followed by Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Sweden, Norway, Israel, and New Zealand. These are the countries which are ranked high when it comes to the World Happiness Report. And when it comes to India, India has seen a marginal improvement in its ranking, jumping only 3 spots to 136 from 139 last year. So followed by India, if we are considering the regional grouping countries, we have Nepal, which is at 84, Bangladesh, which is at 94, Pakistan at 121, Sri Lanka at 127. This means that all these countries rank better than India. How does this process work? You would have representatives who would go and speak to people in the respective country. These people would be given number of questions. One is about the health life expectancy. The other is about the freedom to make life choices. It is about generosity and perception of corruption. And ultimately, they would be asked to rate from 0 to 10. 0 means that the country is not performing well, and 10 means that the country is performing well. And this is collected and the analysis would be done, and ultimately the ranking would be provided. So remember, the top countries include Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, and Netherlands, and the last country in this particular list happens to be Afghanistan, followed by Lebanon and Zimbabwe. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.